Hi, it's T. Carlson here. I love a good 80s comedy, and one of the best 80s comedies out there just got a reissue. Today we're taking a look at Rob Reiner's sophomore film, The Sure Thing, starring John Cusack and Daphne Zuniga. I'm going to unbox this release and I will share my opinions. This was previously released on the Blu-ray format by Shout Factory. I also have the older Shout Factory disc here, so we'll be doing a few comparisons. Okay. First of all, here's the exterior of the new release of the film. This was put out by a company called Sandpiper Pictures. Not a company I'm familiar with, that's why I actually had to look at the spine to remember what the company was called. Disappointingly, it's just kind of a plain, boring case on the inside, no inserts or anything. And then we have the earlier Shout Factory release of the film. The cover art's pretty much the same, except that it's got a pink anniversary border at the top, and the font that the quote is written in is different as well. Back of the package looks different, but I think most of the written content on there is more or less the same. And this version actually has some artwork inside, which the new release is unfortunately missing. I like that they actually did something with this. And I'll read the description of the movie as follows from the case of the Sandpiper release. John Cusack plays down on his luck college freshman Walter Gibson in Rob Reiner's 1985 romantic comedy, The Sure Thing. When his best friend Lance writes from UCLA with the promise of the sure thing, Walter apprehensively sets on a cross-country road trip to Los Angeles. He's joined by theater buff Gary Cooper, Gary's overzealous girlfriend, and stuffy intellectual Allison Bradbury. In true 80s fashion, hijinks and adventure ensue as Walter's quest becomes one of self-discovery in this beloved and timeless coming-of-age classic. Like I said earlier, this was actually the second film released by director Rob Reiner, the first, of course, being one of my all-time favorites. This is Spinal Tap. I love a good road movie. I love a good 80s comedy. I love a good romantic comedy. The Sure Thing is really the best of all of those worlds. John Cusack, of course, is one of the kings of 80s comedies. This actually came out the same year that he starred in Better Off Dead, another one of my personal favorites. The road trip feel of this movie is actually reminiscent of a 1980s version of It Happened One Night, and I do mean that with the utmost praise. Of course, the foil to the fun-loving goofball played by John Cusack is a stuffy, intellectual type portrayed by Daphne Zuniga. You might remember her a few years later having played the princess in Spaceballs. And these two end up, after having some initial arguments on their college campus, sharing some rides and road trips together to get out to California. She wants to be with her boyfriend. He wants to be with this girl that he's heard is the sure thing. Along the way, of course, the two have plenty of tempers that clash, and over time they realize they might have more in common with each other than they thought. The supporting cast is equally good, including Tim Robbins as a man who portrays that he's the Gary Cooper, but not the one that's dead. And then you even have the likes of Anthony Edwards as the cool guy buddy of John Cusack's character who lives out in California and is trying to hook him up with this woman that's the supposed absolutely perfect sure thing. Around every single corner, there's very funny scenes, and despite that, the romance and the drama that unfolds still manages to feel genuine. It's that rare movie that finds the balance between all of these extremes, and certainly a premonition to some of the great films that Rob Reiner would go on to make in the future, both comedic and dramatic. This is an absolutely fantastic film, and one that's always a lot of fun to revisit. With the Shout Factory disc going for like $100+ on Amazon at the time of this video, I was so happy to see that there was actually a company who decided to reissue the movie. And this release from Sandpiper Pictures, picture quality-wise, it more or less looks the same as the earlier release. I couldn't discern any major differences here. It's not a movie that's ever going to wow or be HD demo material, but it is pretty faithful, and there's no unwanted enhancements, noise reduction, edge enhancement, or anything of the like. It is a decent, natural-looking transfer, and I think it's about the best we could ever expect the movie to look. And being a longtime fan, I have to say I'm okay with that. Both releases share the same set of supplements, including a commentary track from Rob Reiner, and then several other featurettes on the film, including casting, dressing, reading, and so forth. And these are all worth watching if you're a fan. If you already own the earlier Shout Factory release, there's no need to go out and buy this release, which is more or less the same, aside from the packaging and the menu design. The transfer and the bonus features, from what I can tell, are pretty much the same. So again, if you have the Shout Factory release, you don't need to buy this new version, but if you don't already own the Sure Thing in some capacity, there's at least a decently priced version of the film now available. Are you a fan of The Sure Thing? Where would you rank this in Rob Reiner's filmography? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos. And make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.